Have you ever felt like you're wearing a mask? Not just when you're pretending to be polite, but all the time. Like you're playing a role in a story you didn't write. Like deep down, there's something else inside you. Carl Jung believed that most people live as strangers to themselves, that beneath the image we show to the world, there's a second life. One filled with forgotten dreams, repressed fears, instincts, shadows, and symbols that shape us without our permission. He wasn't interested in telling you how to be happy. He wanted to show you what you really are. Not what society says, not what your parents told you, not what the algorithm wants from you, but what your soul is actually asking. That's not an easy journey, because to go inward is to go into the dark, to face the parts of yourself you've tried to bury, to see the monster under your bed, and realize it's you. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Most people live at the surface of themselves. They chase goals, success, comfort. They stay busy, distracted, and they wonder why they feel anxious, unfulfilled, or secretly hollow inside. It's not because they're broken. It's because they've never met themselves. What you are aware of, your ego, is just a sliver of the psyche.
It waits in your reactions, in your nightmares, in your projections, in the way you judge others, in the way you sabotage yourself. It hides in sarcasm, addiction, perfectionism, even in your need to always be the good person. The more you reject your shadow, the more power it gains. The more you pretend to be pure, the more violently your darkness builds in silence, until it erupts. You see it when someone explodes over nothing, when a kind person suddenly lashes out, when people do things they swore they'd never do. That's not weakness. That's the shadow breaking through the mask. But what if that darkness isn't evil? What if it's misunderstood? Jung believed the shadow wasn't your enemy. It was the part of you that holds your power, your instinct, your drive, your raw truth. And if you face it, not only do you become more whole, you become more human. The goal isn't to destroy the shadow. The goal is to integrate it, to meet it, to hear what it's been trying to say. But integration doesn't start with thoughts. It starts with something most people ignore: dreams. When you sleep, the unconscious speaks, not in words, but in images, symbols, metaphors. Jung called dreams the direct voice of the soul. Have you ever dreamed of falling, being chased, seeing someone who isn't there, entering a place that feels familiar but isn't? These aren't random. They're messages, warnings, insights, attempts by your deeper self to reach the surface. But we dismiss them. We wake up, shrug, and scroll. Jung would ask you, what are you running from? Why do you keep dreaming of water? Why do you always end up back in the same house? Because your dreams are smarter than you think. They reflect the drama playing out between your conscious life and the parts you ignore. Jung believed that if you followed these clues, you could begin the greatest journey a human being can take. The journey to individuation. Individuation is not self-improvement. It's not about becoming better. It's about becoming whole. Accepting the totality of who you are, not just your light, but your darkness. Not just your achievements, but your pain. Not just your image, but your essence. This is the journey of facing your complexes, your traumas, your shadow. Of realizing that the enemy isn't out there, it's inside. That healing isn't about fixing what's wrong, but remembering what's been forgotten. But this journey doesn't just lead you inward. It leads you into something Jung saw as far greater than the personal unconscious. Something ancient, something shared, the collective unconscious. Imagine that beyond your own psyche, there's a deeper realm, one that connects every human being across time, space, and culture. A place filled with inherited memories, emotional blueprints, universal symbols. This is the domain of archetypes. Archetypes are not characters. They are patterns, primordial images that shape how we think, feel, and live. The hero, the mother, the child, the trickster, the sage, the shadow. These are not just roles and stories. They are forces within your psyche. They influence your choices, your fears, your dreams, your relationships. You don't choose your archetypes. They choose you. And unless you become conscious of them, you are their puppet. Why do you keep seeking validation? Why do you always feel like a victim? Why do you sabotage love the moment it gets real? Because an archetype is playing through you, and until you meet it consciously, it will run your life silently. Think of every myth, every movie, every religion. Why do they all share the same structure? The same rise, fall, rebirth? Because deep down, we're all telling the same story, the story of the soul trying to remember itself. Jung believed that if we lost contact with myth, with ritual, with the symbolic world, we would lose our connection to meaning. And that's exactly what we see today. People drowning in data, starving for purpose, endlessly connected, yet profoundly lost. We treat symptoms with pills and call it healing. We optimize productivity and call it progress. But deep down, we are aching for something ancient, something sacred, not religion, not dogma, soul. Jung saw the modern crisis not as a political or economic one, but as a psychological one. A crisis of fragmentation, a loss of the inner world. You can have everything: money, success, attention. But without inner integration, you'll feel like a ghost wearing a costume. The only way out is in. To confront the shadow, to listen to dreams, to recognize archetypes, to stop running from your past and start becoming the person your soul is waiting for you to become. But that's terrifying, because it means letting go of the mask. We all wear one, the persona. The persona is the version of you that the world accepts. It's your role, your identity, your brand. It helps you survive society. But if you forget that it's just a mask, you will lose yourself in it. Jung warned, the more you identify with your persona, the more distant you become from your soul. You start saying things you don't believe. You stay in relationships that drain you. You chase careers that kill your creativity. You become an actor in your own life. And then, one day, the mask cracks. You feel the void, the confusion, the quiet panic of not knowing who you really are. That moment isn't failure. It's the beginning. Because the breakdown of the persona is the first step toward authenticity. You have to die to who you thought you were, to become who you truly are. And as you begin that descent, you start noticing something else. Strange coincidences. Odd timings. Events that feel too perfect to be random. Jung called this synchronicity. It's not magic. It's not superstition. It's a sign that your inner world and outer world are beginning to reflect each other. When you align with your unconscious, life begins to feel meaningful again. Not easier, not safer, but real, alive. You start to see patterns, symbols, messages, not as answers, but as invitations. The universe becomes a mirror, and your life a myth. But don't get it twisted. This journey will cost you. You'll lose friends, comfort, the illusions you clung to for safety. You'll face grief, shame, guilt, the raw parts of yourself you hoped no one would ever see. But in that fire, something ancient will awaken. You will no longer seek perfection. You'll seek truth. You will no longer chase pleasure. You'll chase wholeness. And you will no longer fear the dark. Because you'll understand, the dark was never the enemy. It was the part of you that held your power. Your instinct, your creativity, your aliveness. The shadow, once faced, becomes your strength. The mask, once removed, reveals your face. The ego, once humbled, becomes a servant to the self. And the self, not the persona, not the ideal, not the role. The self is what you came here to become. Carl Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So I ask you, are you ready to meet yourself? Not the version you show others, not the image you maintain online, but the real you, the ancient you, the broken and beautiful you, the you that dreams, the you that remembers, the you that's been waiting in silence. It's time. Look inward, not to fix yourself, but to find yourself. Because when you do, you won't just live. You'll wake up.